we now know the charges against Charlie Kirk's alleged killer, as well as the key evidence against him and the death sentence he could face if convicted. We also heard him speak during his video conference court hearing late today.
Are we ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor.
Calling case 251-403-576, State of Utah versus Tyler James Robinson. Could you state your name?
Tyler James Robinson.
Thank you for being here, Mr. Robinson.
Well, the 22-year-old said nothing more. He showed no emotion and little outward expression as the charges were read. Aggravated murder, felony discharge of a firearm, 2 counts of obstruction of justice, 2 counts of witness tampering, and the commission of a violent offense in the presence of a child. The aggrieved murder charge is a capital offense, as trial judge Tony Graff explained.
The defendant knowingly created a great risk of death to another individual other than Charlie Kirk and the defendant. Notice conviction of this offense may carry the death penalty or pursuant to Utah Code 76-3-207.7, a mandatory term of imprisonment for life without parole or an indeterminate term of not less than 25 years.
Well, the judge appointed an attorney to represent Robinson. He also granted a pretrial protective order for Charlie Kirk's widow and set the next court date for the 29th. It capped a day that began with prosecutors sharing new information on the case, including a series of text messages between Robinson and his roommate, who, according to court documents, is transitioning from male to female, and authorities say they are also romantically involved. Now, prosecutors say these messages were sent after the shooting on September 10th. Quoting now, "Drop what you're doing, look under my keyboard." Authorities say his partner found a note that Robinson had left, and it read, quote, "I had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to take it." More text messages now in response to that note. Prosecutors refer to the partner as the roommate. The roommate said, "What? You're joking, right?" Robinson, "I'm still okay, my love, but I'm stuck in Orem for a little while longer yet. Shouldn't be long until I can come home, but I got to grab my rifle still. To be honest, I had hoped to keep this secret till I died of old age. I'm sorry to involve you." Robinson's roommate, "You weren't the one who did it, right?" Robinson, "I am. I'm sorry." The roommate, "I thought they caught the person." Robinson, "No, they grabbed some crazy old dude, then interrogated someone in similar clothing. I had planned to grab my rifle from my drop point shortly after, but most of that side of town got locked down. It's quiet, almost enough to get out, but there's one vehicle lingering." Roommate, "Why?" Robinson, "Why did I do it?" Roommate, "Yeah." Robinson, "I had enough of his hatred. Some hate can't be negotiated out. If I'm able to grab my rifle unseen, I will have left no evidence. Going to attempt to retrieve it again. Hopefully they have moved on. I haven't seen anything about them finding it." And then later, prosecutors say Robinson's partner asked, quote, "How long have you been planning this?" Robinson, "A bit over a week, I believe. I can get close to it, but there's a squad car parked right by it. I think they already swept that spot, but I don't want to chance it." Robinson, according to prosecutors, later wrote, "Delete this exchange," adding later, Robinson, "Don't talk to the media, please. Don't take any interviews or make any comments. If any police ask you questions, ask for a lawyer and stay silent." A lot to get to in the hour ahead. Starting us off tonight, CNN senior national correspondent Ed Lavandera is at the UVU campus in Orem, Utah, where the killing took place. So authorities seem confident they have this confession. Is it clear to you what outstanding questions they may have tonight?
It's hard to imagine how much more evidence they would need to prove that Tyler Robinson was behind all of this. According to all of the text messages you've just been reading, remember there's also messages afterwards in a Discord chat that, according to the Washington Post report, that Robinson had sent a group on that chat essentially saying that he has bad news, that he was the one who carried out the shooting at UVU yesterday. And there's also, according to investigators, DNA evidence found on the rifle and a towel and screwdriver that was found in that wooded area by campus. But throughout all of this, Anderson, you look at the mindset of this suspect. And Tyler Robinson, in the moments, in the minutes after the shooting, he was more concerned about retrieving the weapon that he had left in the woods. This is one of those texts that he sent his roommate, according to prosecutors here. Quote, "I'm worried what my old man would do if I didn't bring back Grandpa's rifle. I worry about Prince. I had to leave it in a bush where I changed outfits. Didn't have the ability or time to bring it with. I might have to abandon it and hope they don't find Prince. How the F will I explain losing it to my old man?" So this message apparently sent in some time shortly after the shooting of Charlie Kirk, and despite that horrific act, he was more concerned about being able to get back this family heirloom rifle, to get it back to his home in southwest Utah.
And when is he going to be in front of a judge again?
Well, he had his initial appearance today where he was told of his rights. Judge says later this month, I believe it was September 29th, he is expected to appear in court for what will be a preliminary hearing, and that is where all the probable cause evidence will be presented, and a judge will determine if there's enough evidence to continue on. He was also appointed or will be in the process of getting a court-appointed attorney. The judge today said that he's indigent and would qualify for a court-appointed attorney, an attorney who will be able to handle and is capable of handling a death penalty case, because prosecutors here in Utah insist that they will continue and have filed a motion to seek the death penalty in this case.
Ed Levendera, thanks very much. Joining me now for more on the latest in the investigation, CNN Chief Law Enforcement and Intelligence Analyst John Miller, former federal prosecutor Danya Perry, and retired FBI profiler and director of George Mason University's Forensic Science Program, Mary Ellen O'Toole. Danya, we mentioned this text message. The suspect says some hate can't be negotiated. That certainly seems to point to motive.
Yeah, I mean, as a former federal and state prosecutor, you couldn't wish for better evidence than what Ed just laid out.
This is a huge amount of evidence.
It's a huge, I mean, it's a gift wrap package tied up with a bow. It's not just a confession. He said, I'm sorry, the person that did it. And then he offered a motive. He did say, as Ed reported, there's too much hate. And he also provided significant evidence of planning and then also of cover-up. And as Ed said, there is not evidence of remorse there or of concern for the individual who was killed or for bystanders who might have been hurt. It seemed that he was mostly concerned about getting out of it and of consequences within his family. So yeah, from the prosecutor's perspective, I'm not surprised that this Utah state attorney sought the death penalty. Certainly there's a lot of focus, a lot of scrutiny, a lot of pressure, and the facts, if ever there's an aggravated murder charge, the facts certainly point to it and the evidence certainly lines up.
And Mary Ellen, I mean, I'm wondering what you make of what we heard from the suspect today. I mean, obviously you just said his name in the hearing, but in that text exchange with his partner's roommate, what stood out to you?
Well, listening to his texts and reading them, I kept going back to the phrase that you just referenced, which was, hate cannot be negotiated out. It's a weird statement to make. And as I read it and I went back over statements that I've reviewed over the years when I was still with the FBI, it's the way it's stated almost seems like he's saying, and I had no choice because it could not be negotiated out. So I'm sure investigators are going to be looking at that. And what does that say? That it certainly suggests to me that he was feeling somewhat desperate to address the situation in an extremely inappropriate and lethal way. And I think that's consistent with his personality, which seems to be almost devoid of any emotion, particularly for the victim. He doesn't reference the victim. He doesn't talk about Charlie. He talks about his mom. He talks about his quote unquote old man and how the father is going to be upset with him. So it's a very odd kind of an emotional expression of who he is. And that may be consistent with him. And I think we saw that today in court as well. There was no emotion. And yet here's a young man facing the death penalty. So I think that emotional part of him is a big part of what motivated this and what we're going to see in the courtroom. And people are going to jump to a lot of conclusions. But there are a lot of people in this world who emotionally, they don't manifest emotions like you and I do. They're very, very reserved, and they're very shallow with their emotions, except to people that are extremely close to them.